Gerald, obviously a pretty fantastic 2021 for you, right? 3-0. I guess just what's the feel having a run like that?
It feels great. First 3-fight win streak in the UFC. I'm on top of the world with that, and I want to keep that train going.
Like you said, the longest you've had so far. Is there something you can point to? I mean, I know the fight game's tough. Results just happen sometimes. But is there anything you can point to and say, like, that's the key? That was my success?
Just after the most recent loss, just taking the time to like kind of relax, decompress, let my body heal, and really look inward, and just kind of focus on myself and drown out all the noise. You know what I mean? Get back to working and not worrying about anything else but being the best that I can be.
What was kind of the distractions? You'd be like, there's like social media and stuff like that, or life things, or
Yeah, nothing in particular. And like I never really pay that much attention to like social media or like let it affect me in any way, but just maybe overanalyzing or thinking too much about matchups or who's fighting who or where the division is like, because really none of that matters. All that matters is that I'm prepared and that I win my fights. All that other stuff for me personally means absolutely nothing.
fair enough. Your preparation, speaking of, was this kind of a nomadic training camp for you? Or I was just looking through your social media. It looked like you were at Fusion XL and then you were at Valley Flow. Were those just like weekends or were you moving around?
Yeah, I would say nomadic, but like my main body of work is still done at Rufus Sport, but we just don't have quite as many big guys anymore. So like I'll go to Fusion for a little bit, get some work in there. Kind of at the beginning of the camp, I went down and like I got help too out of it, obviously, but I went down and helped Bilal get ready for his fight. And it's always good working with him, but though it's like, especially when I go to Valley Flow, it's like maybe 1 or 2 days during that week, and then I'm still doing like the bulk of my training at Rufus Sport. But it's just good to get different looks, different bodies. You know what I mean? I've been at Rufus Sport for a long, long time. The technique and what you get there is second to none, but you still got to stress test that against different people.
Nice. Match up with Jotko, another guy that's been around for a long time, maybe kind of underrated in his durability, that sort of thing. I mean, what do you think about him overall as an opponent?
He's tough. He's a good opponent. He likes to stay on the outside. He likes to strike. He mixes his takedowns very well, and we'll use that wrestling to kind of cook the clock and score points. But when he does throw, I'll give it to like for a guy that stays on the outside. When he does throw, he'll throw with reckless abandon. Like it's not like he's just playing the jab game. Like he's swinging, does a lot of check hooks. He'll throw a lot of like hook cross and really try to take you out, but then he'll, like I said, he's on his bike again moving. So it's a good and different stylistic matchup. I go forward, he hops in and out and goes backward. So we'll see who's more stubborn with their game plan.
I love it. Do you think he's going to want to try to take you down? Do you think he's going to be willing to engage and grapple?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be looking to get into a jiu-jitsu match, right? But especially when guys are like, he's not going to take me down. That's exactly when you're going to get taken down. They're going to be like, yeah, for sure I'm going to double leg you now just to prove a point. So it would not surprise me at all if he shot in a couple times.
Nice. Last thing for me, you win here, like you said, 4 straight. I know you just said you don't really worry about the things, but do you start calling? I mean, 4 straight. Do you start trying to call some shots and create some matchups, or
no? Get me on the Sean O'Malley plan. I want the worst guys possible for the most money. That's what I'm here for, to make a living. Once I'm ready to get the title shot, then we can talk about that. Until then, I want all scrubs.
Welcome back. Good to see you again, man. I always appreciate the vibe to the point. You mentioned before when we talked, you had like a gym going or trying to open up. How's that coming?
No progress at the gym so far. Right now, first and foremost, my job is being a UFC fighter. So, you can't take away from this game because it'll show in a very real and public way if you do. And I just haven't had much of a time to, I've gotten little things done, kind of working up to it, but I haven't had the appropriate amount of time to set everything up to where, I can step away for a training camp if I need to. So before I was, really excited about it, I was hoping to get it started soon. I'd still like to get it started soon. But it's going to take as long as it takes. And when it is all said and done, I'll kind of wait to like say anything more about it until I for sure am ready to get it going. But, I don't want to half-ass anything. So I'll give it its proper time.
Sounds good, man. And the fight this weekend, you guys open up the main card. Does that give you a little extra oomph? Like, okay, I'm getting the show started for everybody tuning in now. It has to feel good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool to say too, and it's it's just nice to be a main card fighter. But really, what I like is that this is an earlier card because I'm on the dad schedule now. So I'm all about fighting at 4 o'clock because come these pay-per-view times, I'm gonna have to like change my whole schedule because I'm usually in bed by 7 o'clock. So I'm thankful it's still early.
Excellent, man. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
You spoke to the gym that you'll eventually open, and you also mentioned in the past the coaching role you help out with at Rufus Sport. Just wondering what coaching does for you as a fighter and what benefits you take from that.
I mean, I like it a lot. I just like coaching in general, but it definitely helps me as a fighter because I have to explain not just what I do, but why you would do anything and like what the reason behind it is. And it's something like it inherently, but until you explain it to someone, you're like, oh yeah, that is why I do that. Or you have to question something yourself and maybe get a different perspective, like, why is that the right thing to do? And then you can work through that problem, and it gives you and the athlete you're helping a lot more insight into the game.
Do you think that parallels with the musical background and the instruction of music as well?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. As I say, I originally thought I was going to be a music teacher, so teaching was always there. I just didn't know it was going to be fist fighting instead of, playing instruments.
Gerald, Jim Greashopper, what's happening, man?
What's up, man?
A lot of fights. I'm always curious with fighters. Some fighters don't make it that far in their career. That many. It's more like mileage than years, right? Or fights. What are some things you do to keep your body in shape, or mental edge that you give yourself that you can fight this many fights? You're only 34 still, and keep that body ready to, like you said, make the most amount of money you can.
For me, it's a cool thing to say it like a party trick almost, like, oh, I got all these fights, but I never really think about it because it's all I know. You know what I mean? So I have no idea what it would be like to have like less than 10 fights and be in the UFC. Like, to me, that sounds nuts. You know what I'm saying? But especially now, I got a pretty good, pretty frequent schedule even for the UFC, but I had a lot of fights in my first few years of fighting. I think in like the first 2 years, I had knocked out more than 10 fights. Something close to that, right? So for me, it's like, as you get older, maybe slow down a little bit and just make sure you're recovering properly. Staying, keeping your body put together definitely helps. But, part of it too is I've just been fortunate, and, I try to fight smart and be as much of a tactician and use as much technique as I can. So I'm not, using my athleticism and just destroying my body.
And you look at a guy like Andrei Arlovski and a number of fights he has, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys gathering around the TV watching him try to tie that wins record. Is that something you're a fan of his? Does it mean anything to you to be a part of a card that could be part of history like that?
Man, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but no, I'm definitely a fan of Andrei Arlovski, and like any of those older school guys, right, or guys that have a lot of fights. I'm more in that boat, so I like watching those guys like that, and it's it seems like there's two different camps, right? There's either guys that got a lot of fights or guys that came in pretty young and fresh, and if you can have a fast meteoric rise, as long as you can get to where you need to make a lot of money, that's one thing, but unless you get that belt or get really close, the only way to make money in this game is to stick around for a while. So if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do.
And you don't have any names on that worst guy possible list for the most money?
No, I got no idea. Usually I'm the one that's on the list that people are picking. So I've never got to like actually, they're pretty much like, do you want to fight this guy? Yes or no, which, hey, that's fine. That's what I signed up for. But yeah, let me get somebody like fresh off the Contender Series or something.
So you got to get used to the other side now with all those wins.
Yeah, that would be a nice change of pace, wouldn't it?
Thank you, man.
Thank you.